The very founding of TBWA is grounded in disruption, and it's a DNA, a mindset, a way of being that spans everything we do. It connects all of our global offices, and it certainly permeates the way that we collaborate with clients and ultimately think about the product we're delivering for them. And really thinking about how we can drive transformational growth for our clients, brands, and businesses. So we have something we call the disruption roadmap that we use to tackle some of our biggest challenges. And it sounds simple in nature, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. We start with the convention. What is the thing that we're challenging, the thing that holds us back? That it might be comfortable and cozy and drive a bit of incremental growth, but it's not really allowing us to unlock the full potential of a brand in front of us. The next is the vision, sort of the unrealized future state that we're trying to get to and achieve. And then in the middle, it's the disruptive idea that we think helps get us from the challenge that we're taking on to the vision that we're aiming at. And that's our disruptive idea. So 3 sort of things, a lot of work goes into that. And it's sort of our guiding philosophy of how we tackle things strategically for our clients. I think there's 2 things. First, I think I'd come back to disruption. I think great creative is made when you're around people who have great creative ambition and a similar mindset. And so disruption as a DNA and a way of being is something that I really spark to, like the challengers, the ones who take on the status quo and think what could be done and what could be achieved that people just aren't thinking about. So the first thing is disruption. I think in terms of the work, it's really created a lot of best-in-class category advertising and advertising that has been held up as the standard of great. So 1984 Apple ad, the Skittles work, I find incredible. The Starburst berries and cream work is some of my favorite. I mean, that's an incredible, that work was originally done in 2007 under Jerry Graff, and then took off as a viral meme again on TikTok in 2021, 14 years after it was originally created. You know, we talk a lot about work that outlives us here, and that being our ambition, pieces of work that will really outlive any of us. And that's such a great example of that. Both of those examples are. So. I think I'm gonna have to go with berries and cream. I'm gonna have to go with the Starburst, but I would put Starburst and Skittles right next to each other for Mars. That whole genre of advertising I just think was incredible. I mean, the only other thing I would say also, and it's the Apple work is just iconic and incredible and amazing from today all the way back to 30 years ago and has been consistently unbelievable. I mean, I look to Apple with a lot of admiration, so that's some of my favorite work from TBWA as well. I really love the work that we've recently done with Nissan, which is, you know, they're in an interesting moment where they're coming out with some really incredible product lineup, and we were asked to bring that story to life in a compelling way and think beyond the typical ways of doing that. So the typical sort of product demo in auto advertising is a car going through the bumpy plains and kicking up dirt and dust, but we have real extreme product demos that bring the product to life in a really interesting way, and I love that work. We also just did with them a reinvention of our Heisman House work. That's a 15-year partnership. But we disrupted ourselves this year and did a partnership with Fansville, the Dr. Pepper Heisman world, and brought those 2 pieces together and took our players out of the house and just told the story in a very different, fresh way. So I love that as an example of, yes, we're always looking to disrupt the market and really disrupt the way our brands come to life, but I think it's equally important we disrupt ourselves, even when things are working, like what next and what could be. We've launched some great work for LG around Optimism and Optimism Radio, which is a 24/7 AI radio station, the first of its kind. And then we took on a pretty important topic around AI and its impact on news and knowing what's fake and what's real, but using AI to fight AI. And so it's this really interesting, creative way in to that story that I'm really proud of. So there's a couple things that are first of its kind, just done very different, and taking something that's worked really well and disrupting the way we've been doing it and seeing if we can do it even better. I think, you know, the need for the mediums to evolve. So, you know, when we're telling our stories, the canvas widens as media evolves, if technology comes more to the forefront and sort of shapes the way that we tell stories. I think the way that we have to adapt our ideas to meet the moment in terms of how it's being delivered to consumers has changed a ton. I think being a little more comfortable with maybe not having control over the full brand narrative, right? Like brands are in the hands of consumers very often now, especially with social media and reviews and things of the like. So you have to have a pretty strong point of view and narrative out in the places that you can, and also be really comfortable with the fact that consumers are also going to put their mark on that as well. So I really think it's, those two things maybe have changed the most. We've had a significant amount of change around our leadership table and have brought in some really fantastic talent to join us. We have Dustin Tones, who's our new Chief Creative Officer. We have Jordan Muse, who's our new Managing Director. And then we have Tom Sussman, who's our new Chief Strategy Officer. And they bring with them some really amazing experience across some of the best agencies on some of the most iconic campaigns out there. And so I'm really excited to partner with them on the next generation of TBWA, Chiat Day. I think it says a lot because I think in the DNA of a disruptive mindset is comfort with change. And so the companies that are evolving, that are accepting change as a truth and not just accepting it, but getting excited about it and thinking what can be realized as a result. More tools, different ways of thinking, more expectations and challenges put in front of us. I think if you are disruptive at the very heart, you're excited about that because with change comes possibility. So I think it says for us, we're ready for what's coming.